Can we get this Candace Owens clip of her going through the texts that originally were questioned as to authenticity, but were later authenticated?
It's gonna come through the speaker.
The volume's down on it. No, look on the screen.
On the Twitter video.
On the video. I promise. See.
No, yeah.
There you go.
So Charlie writes in this group chat, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Somebody writes, oh. Charlie writes, Jewish donors play into all of the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. And somebody writes, a donor writes, please do not invite Candace. That might feel good short term, but it's not good long term, in my opinion. Like all groups, you're going to get a wide variety of opinions. That nasty free will thing that God bestowed on us makes life frustrating at times after the dust settles a bit, maybe. So again, this is 48 hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He was very clear and he was very explicit, and he did not back down, not in that Hamptons meeting, which they're all lying about, nor in this text thread. I'm not going to reveal the names of the other 7. Actually, you know what? I disagree with myself 4 seconds ago. Let's just throw in Josh Hammer for funsies. He's on this chat. Okay.
So after that hit the interwebs, you had a lot of people questioning whether or not that was legit. Andrew Colvett, the person who, other than Charlie Kirk's family, I believe Andrew Colvett probably loved Charlie Kirk more than any other person on the planet Earth, was constantly at his side, his business partner, his cooperative on almost every project. Here's Andrew Colvett addressing those text messages.
Some of the things that have been going around on public, namely about a group text chain that has been made known and released by Candace Owens. And I just want to address it head on because, that was a screen grab that I had shared with people. So it is authentic. And I want to go into it because I actually am really excited that the truth is out there. I first want to say the reason I didn't share that screen grab publicly is because it was a private exchange, and I felt like it didn't necessarily comport with things that were already public. I wanted to not betray my friend's trust in that way. But I did share it with some people in government because it happened really quick. It was, it took 33 hours for authorities to get their suspect. And in those first moments, we wanted no stone unturned. We wanted to leave nothing unturned. So I shared it with a few people. Don't know where it went from there, apparently, but here we are. So one of the reasons, Blake, that I'm glad to have this now public, it was not mine to share publicly, but one of the criticisms we've received is that we don't care, we're not investigating every lead, we're not looking under every stone, and that somehow we're just sweeping things under the rug. And when I say that we want justice for Charlie more than anybody else, I really mean it. And no stone unturned. I mean, I don't know if you want to chime in on that part alone, but I have more to say.
Yeah, it has been so frustrating to have people blow up about this. Yeah. And I've certainly stated publicly, the reason I haven't weighed in on things is I am an eyewitness to events, and they've said anything.
That's a thousand.
All right, so the lead there to me is Andrew Colvett, who's there in the moments following Charlie Kirk's death, feels the need to share this message with someone in government with some responsibility to investigate the murder of Charlie. What does that tell us?
Well, I want to ask you something about this because I saw that you had Max Blumenthal on your show recently to talk about his reporting about this. And in that text, he talks about the pressure for having Tucker and Candace there. And it seemed like in that interview, you suggested that there might have been some pressure about having you speak at Turning Point events. Is that right?
Well, first of all, in the moments where Charlie was having those discussions, he was reflecting the very same thing to me, that he was feeling this dual pressure. He had been pro-Israel and had defended Israel's right to exist publicly and forcefully, and yet at the same time, he was willing to platform someone like Tucker Carlson, who is a hero, and platform someone like me, who I've taken controversial positions on foreign policy matters, and there were people who were contributing to this experience for young people who didn't feel like the voices that you would get from a Tucker Carlson or a Matt Gaetz or a Candace Owens. Not that we're a homogenized group, but that those viewpoints would not be helpful for young people to hear. Charlie resisted that, but I'm telling you, this was a guy who this pained him, because I have a different viewpoint on this than Kurt does. Kurt said on my program recently he wants a divorce from the Israel first crowd on the right, that he doesn't believe that these things, if I'm paraphrasing you incorrectly, you can say. I actually want a movement on the right that can exist with people who want to listen to Mark Levin and hold his views, but then also those who don't want to go to war over the Middle East anymore. And I actually think that was what Charlie worked so hard to try to curate, keeping these things together. And there is a part of me who, Charles was my friend, cared deeply for him. That's, you see this play out publicly, and it's not what Charlie would have wanted. He would not have wanted his death to be something that accelerated the divorce. He really was trying to stay together for the kids, or at least the midterms.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is really interesting. I remember I watched you on Matt's show, and you talked about you want a beautiful divorce, basically, from the Israeli military, right?
I think the term is now getting perhaps more than I anticipated. But yeah, I think that U.S. foreign policy should be beautifully divorced from Israeli foreign policy.
Yeah.
But do you think the right in America can exist with the pro-Israel contingent and the contingent that reads the American Conservative and questions the depth of this relationship?
I mean, again, this is like a shell, right? So like Netanyahu's the prime minister, and it's a question of what Israel will be without Netanyahu as prime minister, and it's a question of what Israel's becoming. But in the current time, functionally, what on offer is this, which is Israel is going to prosecute this forever war. It is now heightened from sort of back channeling in Washington, D.C., New York City, and other places to try to get the U.S. involved in Israel's wars. That's been going on since the 80s and 90s, to outright, this is the whole thing. And I remember talking to somebody, this is like a month or two ago, and this is somebody who does not have my foreign policy priors, but they were like, the thing that you do raise, Kurt, that I think is fair. And this is a person who is, this person Jewish. This person is broadly supportive of Israel's campaign against Hamas. This person said, though, the thing about the Israel crowd, though, is they ask for everything. It is the whole political capital of the administration right now. It's not just part of it. And so I'm far more skeptical of ability of the Mark Levins and the people who want something more like a divorce to exist within the same movement or the same party, because the reality is, what does President Trump spend a lot of time on? Israel, Gaza. I think you need a tough measure here, which is cutting U.S. military support for Israel, cutting U.S. diplomatic support for Israel as long as the war goes on, and a red line on really caring about Iran. And then we can talk. There are certainly similarities between the Israeli project and the American project. But for now, for the foreseeable future, I don't see a way in which these two societies can really coexist in a way that U.S. can pursue its interests first.
Can I follow up on something that you said? Just one point on the end here. You said, put off the Iran issue. How do you think the United States should react to Iran's perceived nuclear ambitions?
I mean, at this point, we're so deep in this game, but I think the reality is we have an offer on table. The offer on the table from the Iranians in April of this year, with in Oman, in Muscat, with Witkoff's team, was 3.76% enrichment, which is nowhere near nuclear bomb grade. And the U.S. could have accepted that. Above ground inspections were also rumored. These are not UN inspections. These are American inspectors. So they can put in the biggest tough-ass non-proliferation.
Send Mark Levin.
They can send Mark Zubowitz. They can send Mark Levin. They can send Josh Hammer. They can go to Iran themselves and take a look around.
I know one.
That's a pretty good deal. It's a better deal than JCPOA. It's a better deal than the Obama deal. And I think Trump and the U.S. should take it. I think that deal could still be procured. And I think that's much better than the track we're on.
Is that to say that you don't think the United States should allow Iran to ultimately acquire nuclear weapons?
I think it's a false question because there's a deal on offer to avoid that.
I disagree, wouldn't be like the other scenario. Wouldn't be just letting Iran have a nuclear weapon.
We're making it way more likely. Like not dealing with Tehran diplomatically could make them conclude that we have to lunge for some sort of rudimentary bomb. We have made every policy choice to make nuclear proliferation more likely. So if what we're really talking about is nuclear proliferation, it's the hawks who are agnostic about whether or not they get the bomb.
And another thing about that deal, I just want to mention, so apparently the deal that was on the table that they were discussing would have been some sort of consortium for the nuclear enrichment for that 3.67%.
There wouldn't be any Iranian-only. It would even have this absurd, basically Israeli-invented, neoconservative-invented pretext of zero enrichment. There was even a sort of hole in the Death Star, if you will, to have zero Iranian-only enrichment. It would have been shared with Saudi, and
possibly
the fact that we didn't even explore that further.
But that was on the agenda for the talks on June 15th. You remember there's supposed to be talks between the U.S. and Iran.
I've heard mixed things about whether or not that could have actually happened. But
what happened on June 13th?
The Israelis bombed them.
The Israelis started bombing them. And what did President Trump say on Truth Social when the Israeli jets were in the air? He said, I'm committed to a diplomatic solution with the Iranians, or something along those lines.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.